Tell me, man, doesn't that just make you want to get up and dance? Hey everybody, Sam Crowley. Welcome back to the Sam Crowley Show, the #1 podcast on iTunes and all around the world. If you're looking for inspiration, motivation, empowerment, this is only for people that have a dream, that have a pulse, that can fog a mirror, that woke up on the right side of the ground today. This is only for those individuals, because you just can't be a human resources manager. You can't be a corporate slave. You can't be in cubicle hell and saying, I don't have a shot. You can't be in middle management bucking for that promotion, thinking that that's going to fulfill your life. You can't be any one of those people and resonate with all of our 300,000 listeners around the world. You got to have a dream, man. You know as well as I do. The J-O-B, the jump out of bed, journey to the broke, just over broke, that's where that's where dreams go to die. That's the entrepreneurial graveyard, is in between those four walls of your little job there. And if you think for a moment that little Johnny, the CEO, or Mrs. Smith, the CEO, that's at the top of that corporate pyramid, if you think for a moment that they give a crap about you and your dream, oh boy, do we got news for you. Look, we're out there making a difference, man. Every day and every way, we're failing, succeeding. Failing, succeeding. Come on, success and failure, you know, they follow each other all the way to the top. So, hey, today I've got a great show for you. I'm going to talk to you about going to L.A. last week to speak at an event that was off the hook. I want to thank all our friends at Peak Potentials. They put on just the best events in the world. And I was fortunate enough to spend some time last week at Peaks at their event in L.A. And, man, let me tell you, you talk about having a little bit of a challenge. I was jacked up. But unfortunately, the title of this podcast is, when I went to speak and my tooth fell out. Actually, it wasn't really a tooth. It was the cap of my tooth. But I'll explain in detail because I know you want all the details. As a loyal listener of the show, you want to know, right? You want all the details, and I'm going to give them to you today. So anyway, here it goes. I was flying out. By the way, it was 9/11. It was September 11th, which is kind of on my bucket list to fly cross-country on 9/11. Kind of like my big middle finger up to Al-Qaeda, saying, you know what, man? We can still operate as a country, and we still can get on airplanes on the most, sacred of anniversaries. I don't know what to call it. I know where I was on 9/11. I was in a job in a corner office trying to log on to CNN at 9 in the morning thinking, what the hell's going on? Planes flying into buildings, and I couldn't get on. The internet was that jammed up. Even back in 2001, man, it was just, you couldn't get on. I remember CNN, the only image on the front page was a plane going into the tower, and that was it. It was frozen for like 3 hours, and I'm emailing people, what's going on? Then we went down to the bar, of course, right? Where do you go at 9 in the morning in corporate? You go to a bar. I was watching it on television and seeing the towers fall a couple hours later, I was like, holy cow, did I just see what I think I saw? I mean, remember where you were? I couldn't even believe it. So I'm like watching the towers crumble. It's the crazy. I honestly felt, I think it's the first time in my life I felt that if I blink my eyes, I'm going to wake up from a really weird dream. But as a nation, at least here in the United States where I live, it was amazing how everybody came together that day and that week and that month. I mean, everybody chanting USA. And of course, that goes away, and people start taking, their freedom for granted, and they start complaining again about things that don't matter. And I don't ever want that to happen ever again. That's not my point. But I wish we could get back to that point where everybody was grateful. Everybody loved everybody, and I know it's tough, but I'm not here for a big kumbaya moment. But boy, if everybody could put themselves back into that state where we were just thankful that we were free and we weren't in that building. We weren't one of the 3,300 people that died that day. I mean, everybody had just such a sense of gratitude. So when I was boarding the airplane on 9/11, I got to tell you, I felt a little bit queasy, thinking, this is wild. I'm getting on an airplane to fly a few thousand miles across the country on the same day that terrorists planned to, take over a plane and fly it into a building. But I said, you know what, man, this is what it's all about, being free. To be able to get on that plane, trust in our country, trust in the security, and trust in the pilot, and trust that I'm going to get there safely. And I did, and it was amazing just being in the air that day. And I reflected the entire time thinking about that, However, let me digress and take it from a serious matter, okay, not to show any disrespect to anything that has to do with 9/11, onto a less serious matter, which is we're boarded the plane, and Delta, which I fly regularly across the country here. And so we board the plane, and they shut the door. And, you get the instructions. We're getting ready for takeoff, and we're taxiing down the runway. And I got a piece of gum in my mouth that typically when we take off and land, I chew gum because it helps my ears. My ears always seem to pop when I'm on an airplane. So we're going down the runway at however fast you're going, a couple 100 miles an hour. The wheels just go up, and I feel something dislodge in the right side of my mouth. And wouldn't you know, it's that I had a root canal done the week before, and I had a temporary cap put on the tooth, because the way it works is you get the root canal. I got a problem with this one tooth. Long story. This is not a dental podcast. I'm not going into the gory details. But anyway, yeah, I had a cracked tooth. So they file it down, and then you get a root canal. You take the nerve out. And while you're waiting for the permanent crown to get put on, they put a temporary crown on. I didn't really read the fine print. I don't even think the tooth comes with fine print, but you're not supposed to really chew sticky things like gum or taffy. Little did I know. So here's my tooth in my mouth. And boom, here we go. 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet, up to 10,000 feet. You get the ding, ding. It's okay now to use your electronic devices, but please remain seated with your seatbelt on. Feel free to move about the cabin once the pilot takes the seatbelt light off. And, thanks a lot. We'll see you in L.A. I'm thinking, this is awesome. I'm looking at my tooth in my left hand, the cap of my temporary, and I'm thinking, I got to speak at an event tomorrow. I'm on an airplane. There's no dentist on the plane. Certainly if there was a dentist on the plane, there's no dentist on the plane that has the apparatus to be able to affix this cap back onto my little tooth. That's about the biggest size of my cat's tooth at this point. So this is really uncool. I'm a speaker. Speakers without teeth really probably doesn't fly that well unless that's kind of part of your gig. Like, hey, I'm a speaker without teeth, and I'm here to talk about speaking with no teeth. That's not really part of my presentation. So anyway, I'm kind of freaking out. So fortunately, we had Wi-Fi on the plane, and I email my dentist, or I emailed the guy that did the root canal, the endodontist. I said, hey, doc, hope you're having a great day. I'm here. I'm looking at my cap of my tooth. What should I do? I'm speaking in L.A. tomorrow, so of course this couldn't have happened the day before. I could have just went to my dentist and put it right back on. And I'm going to be in L.A. where I don't know any dentists there, so I sent him an email. So when we land, I checked my phone. I got an email from my dentist. The endodontist forwarded my email over to him. She said, hey, sorry to hear about your tooth. Hopefully all the packing's in place from the root canal still. Just make sure that's the case. I'm like, okay, well, what's that even mean? What's packing? I don't know. I mean, an hour and a half in the chair in a root canal, I'm not sure what's going on up there. So I guess all the packing's in place. So let's move to step number 2. Go to your local pharmacy and find some dental cement. Like, okay. Typically when I'm in the pharmacy, I'm picking up a prescription for somebody in the family, namely one of my kids who's got an ear infection or cut and scrape, whatever's going on when you have kids. Maybe buying some cough drops and a stick of gum. Not really ever looking for dental cement. Truth be told, didn't even know you could buy dental cement. She says, or as a last resort, use toothpaste to affix the cap back on, but doesn't really work as well as dental cement. I'm like, that's awesome. So I envision myself speaking the next day, and, I'm a pretty passionate guy, so I'm out there, yelling and screaming from stage, and I'm just envisioning my tooth going flying into the front row and horrifying everybody in the audience. I'm thinking, yeah, this hopefully better work. So I get off airplane, take a shuttle over to the hotel. I was staying at the LAX Marriott, check in, and I'm very conscious now about this tooth on the right side of my mouth, that if I smile a little too wide, you're getting the full-blown look at the, recently worked on cat tooth. So I read email from the dentist, so I ask the concierge, hey, where's the local CVS or something? He goes, about a mile away, just walk down there, take a left, take a right, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, so I start on my hike, tooth in hand. Actually, tooth was in my left pocket. And I go on a walk, and I'm walking, and I'm walking. And if you've ever been to LAX, that's a big airport. Lots of long-term parking lots, things like that. I felt like I walked 40 minutes till I finally got to the CVS. And I go into the CVS, and I'm looking for dental cement. No go. But I did see like this temporary filling / cap, glue, whatever it's called. I said, okay, this will work, I hope. So I go to the pharmacist, and I said, hey, I got this cap that fell off my tooth. Is this going to work? She's like, well, yeah, this will work temporarily. I said, I need it to work like 90 minutes. I'm speaking tomorrow. They didn't really care. They just said, yeah, this isn't a permanent solution by any means. I'm like, yeah, no kidding. Okay, I'm not a dentist either by any means. So trust me, if I had anybody I knew in this town that could put this thing on, I would have them do it. I don't want to put it back on. So she said, yeah, this should work. So I didn't really feel that groovy still about it, but hey, you got to do what you got to do, right? And I'm giving you this whole story because I'm sure in your life adversity's happening every day, okay? And if you don't think it happens to guys like me, this is one day of my life. This stuff happens all the time. This is how you work through it. So I buy it. It's like $5. I go on my hike back to the Marriott, another 40-minute walk from CVS. I have no idea, by the way, where I'm at. I had no clue where I'm walking. One wrong turn and I'm on the runway at LAX or, some other place I don't want to be in LA. So I finally make it back to the Marriott. And I just follow actually like the flight path of the airplanes that are coming in, thinking, yeah, it looks kind of where I might be. So I get back to the Marriott, go up to room 5040 where I was staying, go into the bathroom there, and I get the dental cement out, get the tooth out, and I do what you got to do. They give you this little instrument that you fill the tooth with the cement and the glue, whatever it's called, and it says, hey, simple as 1, 2, 3, man, just put the cap back on. But keep in mind, this isn't like on my front tooth. It's kind of in the back of my mouth, so it's not easy to get to. So I put it on, and I was like, oh, boy. It felt like a class ring was hanging from the back of my mouth. I mean, it felt so awkward. Certainly didn't feel like when the endodontist put it on. So I go down to eat lunch. Hadn't eaten since 5 in the morning. My flight, was early enough that I ate early in the morning, and I was starving. So I go down and eat in the hotel restaurant. And I take one bite toward even remotely close. Careful not to chew on the tooth, but even like the middle of my mouth. And this tooth is like clanging. I'm like, oh my God, it's killing me. And people are looking at me like, what's going on over there? I'm sitting by myself, total loser, with a tooth that's hanging on the right side of my mouth, thinking everybody's staring at me. I'm trying to chew a lettuce wedge, and I can't even do it because literally it felt like it just was so awkward. The tooth was on completely backward. It's like putting your foot on backwards, trying to walk with a backwards foot. Your toes pointing backwards. That's what the tooth felt like. So imagine me. I mean, I'm all thumbs anyway. I mean, I am the least handy person. I can't change a light bulb around my house, and you want me to put a tooth on. Okay, that ain't going to happen. So anyway, I get out of the restaurant as quick as I can. I pay the bill, and I'm thinking, this is throbbing. Not only does it hurt because it's on wrong, I just had a root canal a few days before, so the gums are still sore. So this is really bad. I've never taken a cap off my tooth before in my life, and so now I go back to my room and I take the cap back off. Okay, so the cement's kind of dry, so I'm working it, twisting it like a bottle cap, and it comes off again. Like, okay, let's try this again. So I did it again, and I thought I put it on better this time, so it's a little better, and I'm like pushing it up, trying to get it up even close to the roof of my mouth. So I go to bite down. It's still on wrong. I'm like, screw it. That's it, man. I just got to go speak tomorrow. Hopefully the tooth doesn't go flying out in the front row, and that's just the way it's got to be. And you know what's funny? Speaking of 9/11, I kept thinking, you know what? I made it here safe. If I got to speak with this tooth missing, I'm okay with that. What I don't want to do is have it on wrong and have it go flying out. But I'm happy to be alive at this point. That's all I was. As silly as that sounds, I'm like, again, I'm not trying to get too spiritual to anybody. I was just happy to be alive on 9/11. I was really in a really big state of gratitude. So I think the message there was, hey, man, you can work through anything. As long as you wake up on the right side of the ground, you're okay. You can figure this stuff out. So the next day comes, and I'm speaking at 4 o'clock, 4:30, and I'm ready to go on stage. People are talking to me, and they're looking at me. I'm kind of chomping on my right side of my mouth. Is this tooth going to be okay? Is it going to be okay? Because I halfway thought, don't smile the whole time. Take the tooth out, and nobody will notice. But a smile is like, it's my personality. I'm always smiling, so I can't really do that. So the tooth is there. They call me up on stage. Long story short, get through the 90-minute presentation. It was awesome. The crowd was awesome. Best crowd ever. If you're listening and you were at that event in LA, I love you guys. Thank you so much for your unwavering support, man. It was awesome. So I made it through, but as I'm talking, and I'm speaking the whole time, I'm thinking, is it coming off? Is it coming off? And I got to be like, I'm like, I'm like smiling, not smiling too big, but I'm smiling. and I can feel this big thing in the back of my mouth. So stupid. And I'm thinking, this is my life. This is Sam Crowley. Look, this is me, a microcosm of myself. So I got off the stage, and it was great, and, had a big table rush, and people bought the product, and it was just fantastic, and the support was amazing. So afterwards, I told the promoter, Mary, she's a gem. I've worked with her before, and she's just fantastic. Mary, thank you so much again for all your help. And I told her the story. She's cracking up, belly laughing. There was a table of people around. I'm telling the story about the tooth and going to CVS and putting the dental cement on. And I said, look, I'm showing them the tooth. Look at this thing. It's not even on right. I had my tooth on backwards. That's basically what was on. My tooth was on backwards the whole time. And I left it like that. Finally, a couple days ago, I went to my dentist because I couldn't get in until the following Tuesday. And I flew out the previous Tuesday. So I'm going on a week with this tooth on backwards. But that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. You do what you need to do to get through the day, the week, or whatever. So I get back into the dental chair, and my regular doctor here in Cincinnati, regular dentist, had the permanent cap that he was getting ready to put on. So he takes the temporary off while I'm in the chair. Now, he doesn't use like I used, just his hands or a towel like I was using in the hotel room. He's used these little vice grips, and he pulls it off, and he's looking at kind of how it was on there. And I go, what you looking at? He goes, yeah, I wasn't really on there, right? I go, yeah, well, I wasn't really a dentist. I mean, imagine doing this thing backwards in a mirror in your hotel room, and you never done it before, okay? So I'm not really looking for style points. It stayed on. He laughed. Again, he laughed. So he put the new one on, and I'm telling you, it feels amazing right now. Like I can actually bite down and chew. It looks normal. So it's all good. But I'll tell you, the fear that was going through me on September 11th, we're taking off, and I'm looking at my tooth thinking I got to speak the next day. That's a pretty big deal. But again, like Mark Twain says, I've known a great many fears, and most of them never happen. And that's the saying that I go by all the time. There ain't no situation that you can't get through as long as you're breathing, baby, and you got your health and you got a great attitude. Things will work out for you. So as you listen to the show today, and you're going through adversity, right, and you think, oh my God, what am I going to do? Think about Sam Crowley holding his tooth. The wheels are up in the air. We're climbing through 10, 20, 30,000 feet on my way to a 4-hour flight across the country, and I'm actually speaking the next day. Think about Sam when you're going through this adversity and understanding that Mark Twain quote that I've known a great many fears. Most of them have never happened. So I want that to empower you today. Right? Sam Crowley and a missing tooth going out to speak on stage. And you know what else? I want you to have an amazing day today. All right? Don't let adversity hold you back. And hey, if this message resonated with you, hit me up. Hit me up. Sam at everydayissaturday.com. If you're not a fan, also on Facebook, hit us up there, facebook.com/everydayissaturday. Leave a comment about the show today or an inspiring, empowering word. You can also follow me on Twitter at Sam Crowley. Have the greatest day ever.
Fired up.